Today's episode has been brought to you by Schedulicity.
Hey, connected yoga teachers. So much has happened. So much has happened since last week, I am sure. I am recording this episode right after I actually did last week's bonus episode. And I shared with you that with everything with COVID-19, and we had a big scare in our own family, and I'm very happy to say that as I'm recording this, and we know that things can change very quickly, the child that was riding the bus with my daughter tested negative. So that means that we can go places if we need to, and we're just really excited because we get to see some family who we were thinking that we couldn't visit with. And I just want to send a huge heartfelt thank you to all of you who have reached out since I put that news out online and who have sent really encouraging notes. And it means a lot. It means so much. And I also shared in that bonus episode that I had to switch things up really quickly with the podcast because I had a podcast planned that was all about an in-home studio and running classes all in person and doing all marketing in person. And just with the way things are going right now, that's not the episode that you need to listen to if you're listening in real time and if you're dealing with all things the coronavirus. Before I get in any further and before you meet Jennie, I just want to say a big hello and welcome. Maybe this is the first episode that you've ever listened to and you're like, who is this exactly talking to me? So hello and welcome to the Connected Yoga Teacher podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Crow. I'm a mom of 3, a yoga teacher, and a trainer and consultant who works for yoga teachers. This podcast was created for you so that you can connect to information and inspiration every single week and feel supported as you navigate these sometimes very tricky and lately changing quickly jungles of yoga entrepreneurship. All of the show notes are ready for you at theconnectedyogateacher.com/161, and everything that we refer to is in the show notes. I am feeling so blessed that I got to interview Jennie MacGoy this morning. So I have known Jennie for a while now, and I have seen her really niche down in her yoga business and do amazing things with her online marketing and amazing things with growing her yoga business. Jennie specializes in working with people who are dealing with chronic pain. I heard her one time say, if you're flexible, you don't need to come to my yoga class. I don't even want to see you there. I don't think that message is on her website, but we were talking about niche work and all of that good stuff. Jennie is also niching down into working more and more one-on-one. And over the last few weeks, I am subscribed to Jennie's emails. I love how she has really worked on her emails, and over the last few weeks, I've seen her take things and change things with everything that came with coronavirus to the point where she got her yoga business online in 48 hours. I also want to give a huge shout out of thank you to our sponsor, Schedulicity, and you're going to hear about them in today's episode. Jennie and I are both fans of Schedulicity, and we chat about how it's been a huge part of making this transition to taking her yoga classes from being in studio, where she has a small in-home studio, to being online in 48 hours. So let's dive in and meet Jennie MacGoy. Welcome to the Connected Yoga Teacher podcast, Jennie. It is amazing to have you here today. How are you doing?
Thank you. I am happy to be here. Trying to use my yoga to not get overwhelmed. Where we are, it's just starting here in Virginia. So, one day, 1 hour at a time. It's helped to have the business to focus on and just distract myself really. And just having lots of work helps. And then just keeping in mind, my mission, which is to give people an opportunity to de-stress and get out of their heads and all of that, now more than ever, right? I think we're just so important to be able to provide that for others. So, let's do this. Let's just do everything we can to help others. So interesting time. I'm almost 50. I've never lived through something like this. So it's definitely feels a bit like a, weird dream right now.
Yeah, for sure. I really love how you said that you're holding on to your mission to help people. So I love that I get your emails because I've seen this progression where how long ago was it that you told your students, you know what, we're not going to use any props? When was that? Like it feels like
Last
ages ago.
week.
Right, last week. Okay, so you sent out an email to them and we actually used it on the Connected Yoga Teacher website because it's a great example of like, here's what we're doing now. How did your students receive that?
Well, I had the very next class I taught was my slow stretch yin class, in which I always incorporate at least one or two restorative poses. So with less than 24 hours, I had to try to come up with a 75-minute class that didn't use any props. So that was a challenge. But everyone showed up, was very understanding. They all went and washed their hands. A couple of people brought blankets. That's the other thing is even when it's not a restorative or a slow stretch class, I have a closet full of props. Everybody uses them. It's like my thing. So I need them. They need them. But everyone showed up and it was kind of nice. One student actually, she has all of her own items. She has her own bolster. She has her own blocks, strap, all of that, which she usually brings. And she didn't. She said, because I didn't want other people to feel bad that, here I am with all the supportive stuff. And she knew most other people wouldn't, which I thought was really nice of her to just, pretty much be like everybody else. And
That
it was
is
a little
really sweet.
wasn't it?
That's really kind.
I don't know if I would have thought of that. I would have been like, well, I have this stuff. But it was nerve-wracking just trying to figure out, okay, they love, for example, supported reclined butterfly, requires a block and a bolster. Sometimes we use a strap around our legs. I thought, okay, how is this? They just love that pose in particular. And it's such a good multitasking kind of pose. You get the chest opener, you get the hips, a little bit of a back bend. So I was, like, oh my goodness. But, it went really well. We did not use one prop. I did spend more time having them observe their bodies. We always do some of that after a pose, we'll a hip pose and I'll say, all right, take a few moments to notice how your hips feel. Well, we spent a little bit longer noticing how our hips felt, which was not me trying to stall. It really was not. Let's take a few more breaths, not 5 minutes, but just, a few more breaths. We did breathe more. Like I did do a couple of extra breathing practices. Still yoga. It wasn't yin yoga, but it was still yoga. We did a guided meditation, which I don't usually do in this particular class, but again, it was yoga. And I did give them a little bit longer Shavasana. But I still had everyone take their spine in every direction. We just got creative, and I asked everyone out. Actually, I didn't even ask them. They reached out. 2 people reached out to me after class and said, you know what? I didn't feel like it was any less of a class. Yeah, I didn't feel like I didn't get out of it what I typically would have had I had all my props. They were happy. I felt good after the class. I thought it had gone well. So So far, so good.
Right. And so then it was last week that you had no props. People came to class. They washed their hands. Did any of your students choose not to come to class?
No one canceled because they were afraid of the virus, I don't think. Definitely not on Sunday. Let's see. I had Wednesday was my last in-person class. It was 3 people, which is not unusual. That's about what I usually get on Wednesday night. They were so happy to be there because that was when it was really starting to amp up where we are. So I haven't had anybody cancel because they were afraid to come. I've had a couple of folks cancel because they've been trying to get a college kid home. Um, those kinds of things, staying late at work because they had to wrap up stuff because then they had to work remotely. That's the things they are telling me.
Right. So then when did what made you decide, okay, Wednesday you had your last class, today's Saturday. What made you decide then that's it, we're doing virtual classes?
When the schools closed, when
Okay.
our superintendent called us at 5 a.m. to say our county schools were closed due to the evolving situation. I said, that's it. How can I, in good conscience, continue to bring people together? I all day Thursday, that was Thursday at 5 a.m. All day Thursday, I debated because I had a Thursday night class. But by noon, I had pretty much decided, no, I just didn't feel good about it. If we're all being told to self quarantine, if the schools are closed, we have a big school system. I have seniors and a lot of seniors. I have people caring for people with, suppressed immune systems, things like that. I can't. So I spent the rest of the day figuring out how to go online.
In one day you did it?
Yeah, that whole day, because I had class at 7:30. Man, my hip flexors were so tight because I did not move. I was like, oh, I need to get into bridge pose, I need to stretch. But it was like, that's why I missed so much online help, because I was like, just focus. So
good for you, though. You figured it out.
I think so.
So you're doing your classes now on Zoom.
Yes.
And so how have your students taken to that now?
The first one was Thursday night, and they loved it. It was so nice. People were, yogis are just supportive, nice people. Let's see, I had 4 or 5 people, which was a little smaller than usual. I had a couple people cancel. They're like, we got to figure out how to get our daughter home from school and things, a couple people like that. But they immediately texted me. They're like, that was great. It was a great session. So I was like, cool. And I had another one last night. And again, it's, they would prefer to be in person because that's a big thing for me and my group classes is that community. But so they look forward to eventually all of us coming back together in person. But for now, it was fine. A couple of people had to figure out Zoom, had never done Zoom before. On my end, I am indebted to my husband because he ran all the tech. I haven't quite figured out yet how to do this 100% by myself. So far, it's been a 2-person effort.
Okay, tell me why. What's John doing? Super John now.
Super John, my technical support guy. He's my facilities manager when I have classes in the studio. So when I don't know, it's not warm enough and our thermostat's upstairs, I'm like, okay, let me just go text my facilities guy. He's great. So yeah, he's my technical support guy. I can get us all connected to Zoom and all of that, no problem. But it was a little glitchy. The first class was a little bit the video was a little glitchy, but not unlike what happens in a lot of Zoom calls. It didn't block out or, anything like that. It got a little jumpy there. And people did notice. They said, yeah, we noticed that. But uh, the type of class that I run is a very mindful, slow moving class. So it wasn't like, whoa, wait a minute, I was in Warrior One and all of a sudden you all are on the floor. So the type of class I teach, it was okay. I learned audio wise, my AirPods worked best. We're trying to figure out, I've got that, the lavalier mic, but just in the interest of time, we didn't figure out how to use that yet. So the AirPods worked well. We recorded with my phone, ran the music through the laptop.
Okay, so back this up a second.
Yeah.
You go, so do you take your phone then to go on Zoom? Is that how you do it?
Yes. I set up my phone on a tripod on a chair.
Down in your studio.
My studio.
And you had your AirPods connected to your phone for the sound.
Correct.
So they can hear you.
Mm-hmm.
And you did the flow then.
Well, and that's an interesting part of this. These 2 classes that I've done, the poses have all been seated, hands and knees, or lying down. I have not done a class that will require me to stand up yet.
Right.
That would be, which will, video wise be a whole different thing. I mean, maybe I'm imagining I could just have it pulled back far enough that it would probably work, but it was really nice. It was zoomed in, pardon the pun, nicely. That's because I was only seated or on my hands and knees or lying down. You didn't have that up and down having, effect that I had to worry about. I didn't take up all that much room.
Right. Oh, this is fascinating. I did a Zoom demo and I'll link to that for our listeners. And one of the big takeaways from the people who were there, because they kept asking me like, what about the microphone and what about moving away? And I said, oh, this is fascinating because I teach, just like you and I are sitting and talking,
Mm-hmm.
I teach just sitting and looking at the camera, looking at the people who are there live, because I teach live on Zoom, usually one-on-one, so I can see them really well.
Yeah.
And if I have to demo something, I'm just like, just a second. And I just move back there and they can't hear me as well. And I do the demo and then I watch them do it. So it is choppier than like a, kind of breaks up the flow, but I barely move.
Yeah, that's true. And I had a thought and I lost it, but I can't see anybody. The way I ran it was just my video was on, just my audio. I couldn't see them or hear them, which I don't know why I chose to do that, but
Probably
other than
on your phone, you probably only have so much space to see.
Well, that's true. And the way my husband set it up, it was actually turned around, but he was watching to see, okay, is anything weird going on?
So then was he watching also from like a laptop or something?
Yes, he was dialed in as the participant so that he could hear and watch. Because a couple of times the screen went from full screen to like a thumbnail video, and there were a couple of times it wasn't perfect, video wise. But then there's where your ability to cue well comes in too, where you've got to be able to verbally say things so they don't have to see necessarily. So that was okay. The music was an interesting part. I do like very just instrumental, soft music in the background. Especially last night was a class for deep relaxation. So I do find that music is helpful. And I did improve that. I have a portable speaker. And it was too far away the first time I did it. People couldn't hear the music and they did miss that. But I brought it closer. You make it work. It's about, the size of a roll of bagels. Like a pack of bagels is about how big the speaker is. I stacked it up on like 5 blocks, yoga blocks, so that it was more at the level of my iPod microphone.
Okay, your AirPods.
Yeah, so the mic was like sitting close. I propped it up, so then they could hear the music through my mic, through my AirPods. So that ended up working out better. But we had to stream it through the laptop because it was just too many things. I had Zoom on the phone. We're trying to figure out if we can then also stream music through my phone. It was a lot of juggling. So we just did the music. It was Apple Music on the laptop connected to the speaker, which was close enough to my AirPods that they could hear it.
That's fascinating to me. I love that you then added the music piece in. Like I would just be like, all right, everyone, we're throwing that out. But you were like, no, that's what my students are used to. So right now, if students want to attend, like, did you have registered sessions before, or did you have drop-in, or how did that work?
Right now it was drop-in. I did have several people already signed up. I do use Schedulicity, and it's not required for these classes, or before, for most of my classes before. Now you have to register on Schedulicity, and then you also have to pay with a credit card, which is more expensive for me to pay via, through Schedulicity as opposed to them maybe holding a spot and then paying with a credit card in person. It's a little cheaper. But I'm willing to make that sacrifice right now. They pay to hold their, to save their spot. They pay for the class, unless they already had a yoga pass with me, which in that case, I'm just deducting it from their yoga pass. And then once I see they're registered and paid, I send them the Zoom link.
Do you do that all through Schedulicity?
As far as I know, and again, it's only been like 48 hours that I've been doing this, I don't think Schedulicity talks to Zoom, but Schedulicity does send me an alert on my phone. I get an email and I get a text from Schedulicity every time somebody signs up. So I see that. I schedule my Zoom meeting ahead of time. So I have a Zoom ID. I just copy that. And then if I have the person cell, I text them the link. Or if not, I can do an email of that Zoom link. But right now I do depend on Schedulicity notifying me that somebody's registered.
I feel like, unless something's changed, that you can email everyone who's registered for one class through Schedulicity.
Yes, you can. That is true. And I have done that. But when you get like just a last minute, somebody like signs up kind of last minute after you've already sent that group email, but you are right. Everybody it's really nice. Schedulicity is nice. Yeah. Everybody's who's signed up, you just hit, email clients and then boom, I just send it. Yeah, you can totally do it that way. But for people that come in at maybe towards the last minute, I get the alert and then I either email them individually or text them the link.
Connected Yoga Teachers, I am popping in here with some really exciting news before we hear our hot tip of the week from Schedulicity. I just got an email yesterday saying that Schedulicity is waiving all fees for 3 months. And if you use Schedulicity before, you can still return back and get those 3 months for free. So I think this is an amazing thing that we're seeing, how Schedulicity is supporting us. If you're listening to this in real time, with everything that our yoga teachers are dealing with the coronavirus. I'm seeing some companies really step up and serve our communities, serve the business owners, and it is really something. Even this morning, I woke up and I saw an email from Airbnb, and I thought I was only going to get a 50% refund for a booking that I had for the Toronto Yoga Show, which is sadly canceled. And Airbnb came back and said that they are going to make sure that they give everyone a full refund and that they're working on something next to help support the hosts who have these houses that now have no bookings. So I just wanted to highlight how I see people coming together. I see people stepping forward and saying, this is how I can help you. I also heard a really great news story of a man. This didn't sound like a good news story at the beginning. A man went into a grocery store, absolutely cleared out all of the toilet paper I was like angry when I heard that part. And then he posted on social media, if any elderly person needs toilet paper, message me and I will personally deliver this to them. And I will not charge them, and I can just drop it outside their door. So this is the way that we are seeing people really step up, step forward. And with that, thank you so much, Schedulicity, for being one of those companies that is really helping us out. Here's our hot tip of the week from Schedulicity.
Hello, Connected Yoga teachers. This is Katie with the Schedulicity Hot Tip of the Week. When you create an online yoga studio, you make space for a virtual community that can grow beyond the confines of any room. Managing your clients and getting paid can be the trickiest part of existing online. Remove the guesswork with Schedulicity and make enrollment, communication, and collecting payment as easy as taking a deep, cleansing breath. If you have one student that you teach in person or 1,000 signing up for live virtual workshops, empower them to book online with ease.
I have to tell you, Jennie, I'm really impressed. I have talked to a few teachers who are tech savvy teachers, or some teachers who are like online. How would I do that? And it's a scramble. Like, I think it's you've done it. Like, you were just like, all right, here's my decision, going for it. Like, I have told some teachers, you know what, if it's going to take you a week, cancel your classes for a week and then tell them, I'll figure out how to get this online. But it feels like you didn't miss a beat. Is that what it feels like to you?
I just know that yoga is what gets me through some things, even if yoga that day was getting into child's pose and taking 5 breaths. You know, I don't know how I would get by without it. So again, I'm not talking like, oh my gosh, if I don't do an hour of yoga every day, I'm a mess, but literally just even a few breaths. But because of that, I knew, and that's why people come to me. They love the movement. They love a little bit greater mobility, flexibility, all of that. But I think if I ask most of my folks, they just want some calm. And now, oh my gosh, I mean, we need the calm. So I couldn't. I was like, I can't stop for their sake, for my sake. So that was why it was, like 5 straight hours of how do I do this? And I just had to. I felt like I had to, and I hope people are okay. I've checked in so far. Zoom. I would say the technology is the biggest hurdle. People are like, I don't have Zoom. I don't know how to do Zoom. Oh, I don't. And so that's my next step is, okay, I have to figure out a way to make this technology as simple as possible for them. And I'm confident, I just need to spend a little bit of time figuring out how to do that.
The other thing I really like about it is that right now we're looking at self-isolation, which if someone lives on their own or they rely on their yoga class to really connect with people, it's like Zoom video is the next best thing that we have to getting together in person. And I think that you encouraging these people, who knows, maybe they'll be like, okay, I'm going to call my grandkids now and I'll just send them the Zoom link.
That's true. I found that Thursday afternoon when this all was coming together, I did the biggest media blitz I could. I sent an email to everyone, which I usually only do once a week on Mondays, but I was like, this justifies it. I put it on all my social media platforms. And then, I don't know if this is crazy, but I texted, I went through my contact list, everyone from Alaska to DC, and just said, hey, I'm doing this. If you've ever wanted to try one of my classes and obviously you don't live here, here's the link. So, or I didn't say here's the link. I said, here's how you sign up. And then I'll send you the link. So I'm hopeful that this could maybe, broaden to people that aren't just around here. So that's kind of exciting, but we'll just have to see how it goes. I do miss my people though. It's weird not being able to see them, and I don't do much in the way of hands-on assists anyway. It's not that I'm missing that, but just, I don't know, just that energy. But you're right. I think we have to do this. We have to go virtual.
Yes.
And
so then anyone now can sign up. So if our listeners wanted to tune in for one of your classes, they can. Do you have a cap on the number of people that you can take?
that's a good question. I did think of that. It didn't end up being an issue because, again, this was such short notice. I don't see why I would need a cap unless Zoom has a cap.
Zoom has a cap of 100 people, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I would check into it. But I mean, if you have 100 people showing up to your class, I think you could bump it up to the next Zoom plan.
Well, and that was the other thing. I think maybe I had told you in another way was I had the free Zoom initially, but when I went to schedule an hour meeting, an hour class, Zoom said you can, for 3 or more people, you can only do 40 minutes.
Right.
For free. So I was like, okay, it's $14.99 or whatever it was a month. I could pay for the year. I thought, I'm going to do a month. So, there's another expense. But I didn't see what the limit was. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's like 100, but that's cool. But I did put that little bit of money down just to see how this will work.
I think that's right now, fantastic.
Join in. I can't see them. I really can't do anything physically or individually anyway. But you can still come, and you really don't have to know much. I'm pretty good at early cueing people through stuff. So even if you just dial in and you just lie down or whatever, chances are, even if you don't see me, it'll still be good.
I think so. That's amazing. I also love how John's helping you in this. I think that's pretty fantastic that you two are working as a team to make it happen. And Thanks. I bet, if I called you in another week, you'd be like, okay, and now I've learned these things. So keep us posted on, here's a helpful tip. Because this is really, we just dive in and do it. Like some people are like, oh, well, I need a special camera and a tripod. I love it that you were like, I have my phone. Right. Most of us have one of those.
Yeah. And again, the feedback was good. Is it perfect? No. Is this a perfect world right now? No. So if it's, maybe a couple of little jumpy moments in a video, and maybe the first one you couldn't hear the music real well versus not doing anything, I mean, no brainer, right? So I will continue to work hard to make them as beautiful or professional, perfect as I can. But I agree 100% that I thought it was just much more important to jump in and start doing that. And I'm most grateful to my husband. I guess I better put him on the payroll.
Oh, that's amazing. So if our listeners want to tune in for a class, what website can they go to?
Best thing to do would be to go to Breathe with Jennie. It's JENNIE.com. There's a tab for classes. Click there. That will take you to Schedulicity, and Schedulicity is pretty easy to get through. And that's true for my private sessions too. I do lead privates, and I did do one of my privates in person last week, but that was Tuesday before this all kind of exploded. So those will be moving virtually as well. So, and I think those will run pretty easily, even easier than the classes. But that's where the best place to find me.
That's amazing. I wonder also, do your students usually come in and chat with each other before a class?
They do. Yeah.
So is there a way to have 15 minutes before the class where people can be like, hi,
we did do it via the Zoom chat. But that's a great suggestion. I could see about, I know I can, right? Just have everybody's video and let people talk. That's a good idea. Maybe, 5 or 10 minutes before class starts for those who want to. But we did at least, because I didn't give them the video option, or I tried not to, we did at least chat on
Like the typing?
Yeah, it's like a group chat kind of thing, but that's a great idea because, yeah, I'm a talker, as you figured out.
You and I
So
both.
I like to talk to my students before class, find out how they're feeling. I didn't even think about that. That would be great, to kind of do a little check-in. Anything that you need to be mindful of, I'll do my best to, remember that if somebody I know their knees are cranky that day, try to give them some customizations, things like that. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Because I feel like you could also do it where you're like, okay, I haven't hit record yet, let's check in. This won't be, and that's the other question I have for you. Are you recording them and do they get the replay, or is it just like, this is live, this is the one chance you get?
I have recorded them, but my intent was to see what it looked like. Like, oh my gosh, how did this look? How did it go? But I know, having done Zoom calls with you before, that yes, I should, and maybe even today I'll figure that out, offer that, say, here's the live class will be here. If you can't make it and want the replay, still register, right? And, put in your card information. And then if you can't make it, I will send you the link. And Zoom is really good. They turn it over in less than 24 hours. So, that's a great idea. I hadn't offered that yet, but that should be it's very easy to record it. So I just haven't taken that next step of saying, hey, if you can't make it live, here it is, and I'll send it to you.
The business coach in me thinks you could build this library of your recordings. And I know some yoga teachers offer like within 48 hours or 24 hours, you can access the last one. And then they're in sort of like, you can build up a membership that way, or you could decide to put them on YouTube. Like there are so many options kind of beyond that as well. So that's really exciting to think about. I don't know if you're able to tune into the live that Amanda and I are doing about going online.
I plan to be there. I need to go save my place. Absolutely.
But I feel like that would be the next step.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, we don't want to overwhelm people in that. We've really talked about like, what if someone has never even gone live? Like I know you have done Instagram stories before and you've done Facebook, like you got comfortable with this and then you're like, all right, let's get this on Zoom. Someone else may be starting at the beginning. So we'll be talking about that in that live workshop.
Great. Oh, for sure. And even though I was pretty comfortable, the tech side of it, again, I don't know how I could have done it without help. Somebody on the other end, these, like, even I'm doing this again tomorrow. I haven't, I don't know. I'm like, oh, I can't let go of, just 100% do this on my own. So those are some big things, even for someone who's pretty comfortable in front of the camera and has done some of this tech stuff. Doing it like this was, I'm still not 100% there where like, boom, 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 just run it.
Right.
So yeah,
right.
I'm looking forward to Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, you can just get one of your kids to be tech support next, now that they're all on their way home.
Now that they're all home, I actually thought of that, of paying someone to do like the Zoom tutorial too. Because what I'd like to do is use Loom, like you have done, and record this little video, maybe walking people through. Okay, get on your computer, click here, just walk them through it. But yes, now that I have all these people in the house, because obviously my husband's got to work too. I plan on, even if they're kicking and screaming, to hire. And I'll pay them because money talks to teenagers, right? Yeah. Because I just don't, realistically, I just don't know running it 100% by myself. I'm sure I'll get there, but right now it's a two person thing for us.
I think that's great because someone can keep an eye. Like if someone was posting in the chat, I can't hear, they basically can just say, check your microphone settings, do this, do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Doing speaker view versus gallery view, all of that. Yeah. Yeah. Boy, I might have a very wealthy child. I won't have any money.
You might, if you have hundreds of people tuning in. You'd be like, all right, kids.
Yes.
They might decide that they want to take their yoga business online next. So I love that you decided my whole mission is to help people right now still. And then you just threw yourself in there and you're learning as you go, which is really the only way we can do something. And then you're continuing to learn. By Tuesday, I bet Amanda and I are going to be learning from you about all like group classes on Zoom is something I've not done much of.
Okay.
Small groups, but not large groups. So
I'm hoping, large groups would be great. Who knows? There would be some silver lining here for all of us, right? It's very easy to get so anxious and overwhelmed and wondering what in the world is going on here. But I'm hopeful, that we're going to get on the other side of all this. And I hope yoga teachers, man, I think we are really in an important, we're going to serve a so much more important purpose here. And with, all your help, helping all of us to get it virtual so that we don't lose that connection. I don't know. I think this is could potentially be a real pivotal point for all of us in this world of providing breath and movement for people.
I think so too, Jennie. That's well said. I am sad that you and I aren't meeting in person in Toronto like we were supposed to, but this is nice that we can connect here and chat here, and we just have to make a time to make that happen again, to gather in person when we can. I
was very excited to come to Toronto. I've never been to Canada. So count on it. Count on it.
All right.
Get rid of this virus and no more can come. And I'm there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for sharing all of this information. I know our connected yoga teachers will be just soaking it in and taking notes. So thanks.
You're most welcome anytime.
Well, connected yoga teachers, how was that? I feel like it gave me such a boost of hope and positivity after talking with Jennie. It really fueled me. I love how she said that it's her mission, her yoga mission, the big reason why that really gave her the push to get this online for her students. I am sure her students are thrilled. I'm actually looking at how I can sign up and take a class with Jennie because I can, no matter where we are. I think this is a really amazing opportunity to support teachers all over the world, or maybe locally in your community, when they decide to take their yoga online. It can be really tricky. And I just want you to know that we all feel that fear of, oh my gosh, how do I do this? How do I use this new piece of technology? How do I get my yoga online? We all are experiencing that when we go to put something new out there. So let's try and do it together. Let's support the yoga teachers around us, and tell us in the Connected Yoga Teacher group if you have any questions, or share with us your wins. If you get your yoga online, tell us what worked really well. If you feel like you need some help with this, there are two options. We have a replay of the masterclass that Amanda McKinney and I just did. If all technology has worked right, then the link for that is in the show notes. And then the second way, if you need more help, is to book a consultation call with me. For all of that, you can go to theconnectedyogateacher.com. To work with me, you can look under Work with Shannon. And to find the replay and any other resources that will help you deal with COVID-19, there's a special resource page there. Before I sign off, Connected Yoga Teachers, I want to say a huge thank you to our team, Suzanne, Crunch, Nick, and Sinead, for making today's episode possible when we had to switch things around really quickly. And I also want to thank you, dear listener. You are in my thoughts lately. I know that you are busy doing all of the things in your community to help people to deal with change like we're dealing with right now if you're listening in real time, to deal with stress and anxiety and fears and a general unknowing, not really sure what's happening, and just this real upheaval in life. I hope you're finding some time for your practice. I hope you are able to feel connected. And I would also love to know, what are you doing to stay connected to yourself, your yoga practice, and to your community so that you can share the yoga that lights you up?